All right, I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for joining in on this special live event. We've got all the pros coming to the table here to talk about not only their racing, but also the upcoming Fall Classic. This event is blown up into something that basically came out of nowhere here. And not only do we get one, two, or three pros, we've got a solid lineup. So Dave's been able to make arrangements and essentially get a bunch of these guys to come out and get some warm up laps before the Worlds with a track that mimics the size of the Worlds event. And I know Dave's going to be putting in the extra time to make sure that the surface and the layout is perfect. We're very lucky to be able to see these guys compete. And our lone Canadian that's joined us is Mark Sosa. So let's see how things go there. And a lot of these guys are going to be wrenching while the podcast is going on, which is what's expected. But let's go around the table here, and if everybody can introduce themselves and maybe mention some of their major sponsors. We'll start off with you, Mark.
Um, just go through a whole production thing. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Mark Sousa. I'm originally from Everett, Ontario, Canada. I just moved to Toronto about a month and a bit ago, representing Schumacher, TZO, Hobbywing, etc. Yeah, it's going to be cool. It's kind of cool to have a bunch of guys that I've raced with over the years come to my local track that I've just now had for the last 2 years. So obviously racing with Brandon, Aiden, Jared, Camden, Cole, and Chase. It's going to be really awesome. So looking forward to it, and hopefully you guys really enjoy the track. Um, Over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of effort in from Dave, myself to a certain extent, but mainly Dave. Dave's the one who's kind of taking care of everything over there. So I hope you guys come down and enjoy it, and then hope to see everyone back next year again.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Next, we're going to have Chase Lemieux. He's coming across from Windsor. Oh, sorry, Windsor from Wisconsin. So it'll be great to see him on Canadian soil. Chase, tell
Hi,
us
my
a little
name's
bit about
Chase.
yourself.
My name's Chase Lemieux. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My local track is Trackside Hobbies. I race for X-Ray, Arts America, Motive, Hobbywing, Hot Race Tires, Hootie, FX Engines, um, couple Gravity RC, and a couple others. But yeah, I've been racing for about 15 years, and super excited to go up to your guys' track. Looks pretty amazing, like a nice world class facility, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, we're looking forward to having you here. Next would be Cole Ogden. Maybe you can give the people watching a little bit of a little bit of your background and who you represent.
People's champ.
Hey everybody, Cole Ogden here. I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. I am looking forward to attending this sick event that you guys are putting on. I'm going to come up there representing Ultimate Racing, ProMotion Tires, MKS Servos, VP Racing Fuels, Futaba USA, JT Bearing Co., Modelix, True Source, True Form, Mugen Racing USA, Bipolar Designs, One Army, Beach RC, Prevail Paints, and Ogio. And yeah,
Awesome. Well, we got Ryan finally able to check in, so we're good. We got, I think, a full collection of all the racers. Ryan, we're just going through everybody, giving you a chance to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about who's supporting them and maybe a little bit about where they're from. Brandon, why don't you let us know a little bit about yourself?
What's up, guys? My name's Brandon Rose. I am from Houston, Texas. I've been racing for about 15 years now. My home track is Mike's Hobby Shop, but I am only about 3 hours away from Thornhill, where the World Championships are going to be later this year. Yeah, first time going to Canada. I'm pretty stoked on it. Excited to have my first ever Canadian beer.
It's a lot
Yeah,
more
track
expensive.
a lot more expensive. I don't like that. Track
You get a
looks
lot
sick
more
though.
alcohol for that cost, though. We're not in that 5% club. We're a little bit stronger out here. Thanks, Brendan. Aiden, why don't you give us you're pretty local to me, but why don't you let everybody know where you're from, who you're representing, and have you been racing in Canada before?
Yeah, Aiden Horn here, representing Team Associated, Brady Power, Hot Race Tires, Factory Team, Bradley Fine Line Designs, A Main Hobbies, Factory Tracks Racing. RC1 was my local track. I also represent them. They unfortunately recently shut down. So my next closest local track is Limitless. It's a carpet track for 10 scale. Mostly a 10 scale guy. I've been racing for 20 years now. Mainly 10 scale, but trying to get better with the 8 scale stuff. Never been to Canada before. I'm pumped. I forgot a couple sponsors too. 920 Designs, Bradley Fineland Designs. Shout out those guys. Keep me looking good. Anyone else I forgot?
One Up Racing.
Yeah, One Up Racing. Yeah. Good call. Good call. Forgot those boys too. Good dudes over there. But yeah, I'm stoked. Never been to Canada. Trying to dial in for the Worlds. Not get my cheeks clapped too hard at Thornhill. But I'm from Michigan, Highland, Michigan. I think it's only like 6 hour drive to get over to the track. So look forward to it. Nice little jump, hop, and skip.
Awesome. We're looking forward to having you. I think it's going to be an awesome time. And, you know, having a chance to speak with you before, I know you're always entertaining. So this is going to be, we're definitely looking forward to a great time. Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you represent, and where you're from?
Yeah, my name's Ryan Pavitas, out of Temecula, California. So, born and raised here. The RC racing scene is big here, as I'm sure everyone knows. But Paris would be my local track, Thunder Alley, those types of places. But yeah, running for Team Associated, Reedy, Hot Race Tires, Futaba, MKS, Avid RC, and also my buddy Scott Floyd does all my paint by 400's Designs, doing the decals and stuff, making me look good. So yeah, I haven't been racing quite as much lately, but made it to the world's warm up. Felt pretty good there. Yeah, new AE car is really good, so I'm excited to get up there and race on one of the best tracks in Canada. Kirk's one of my good buddies, so I heard a lot about the racing up there, and it's about time. Yeah, you guys have a big event up there, so I'm excited to be one of the first ones to go
Well,
up there.
thank you, and we definitely appreciate you making the trip across. I think you're one of the ones flying in from the furthest, no?
Yeah, I guess I'll probably be the furthest one, but I'll meet up with my boy Camden here, and we'll be flying in together probably a day early. So
I
yeah,
heard you were
should
flying
be a good
yourself
time.
there.
Oh yeah, might take a couple days in that case, but
Congrats, by the way.
thanks, dude.
Next up, we'll have Jared Wiggins. Jared, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you're representing?
Yeah, I'm Jared Wiggins from Dixon, Illinois, representing Techno RC. I'm excited. This is also my first time coming to Canada. We'll actually be driving out there. I'll probably take Chase with me because he's only a couple hours away from me. My local track is Chief City in Monroe, Wisconsin. And we're about, I think, left from your guys', so it'll make a nice there. And should be cool to check out another place, like new tracks. And again, first time in Canada. Should be fun.
That's awesome, man. I know a lot of the techno faithful are pretty excited about having you down. So we're looking forward. And what's awesome about this is it's such a mix of chassis representatives here, which is great. And I think at Dave's track, almost every one of your brands is represented by some of our locals. So I'm sure they're going to be trying to pick your brains on how to get their cars to work a little bit better. So that I think is a huge positive when it comes down to having pros present at races like this. Last but not least, let's get Camden Lime. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you're representing, and if you've been down, or I guess it would be down to Canada here, or up to Canada. We're north. Never mind.
Yeah, it would be up. How's it going, guys? Camden Lime here. I've been racing for 17 years. I've been to Canada one time for a 19-hour layover on the way to Spain once, so that was not awesome. So I'm looking forward to actually enjoying Canada. I'm racing for S-Works, Ultimate, ProMotion, Beach RC, J&T, Nitro Lux, True Form, True Source, probably a couple others I'm forgetting. But yeah, I'm super excited to get down there, race with all the boys. Should be a good race, good warm up for Worlds, and I'm excited to check your guys' area and culture out.
Yeah, no, we were looking forward to having you. And I know Dave's going to, like I said earlier, Dave's going to be rolling out the red carpet. And there's quite a few. I think the event has oversold already. So we've got a lot of locals that are looking to hopefully have some time on the track with you guys and see how they measure up. We do have some quick locals. You know, Mark obviously represents us very well, but we've got some quick locals that I'm sure are going to be, pushing to see how far they can go up the ladder and see if they can make that A main. So let's get started into the conversation. You know, the big thing is obviously this is a great event, and we're pretty excited about having such awesome representation from so many pros. But you guys are all going to be moving, or not moving, but going to compete in Texas for the Worlds. So leading up to the Worlds, what are you guys doing differently this year versus maybe some of the non-worlds years that you've been racing? Chase, why don't you start off with giving us some of maybe some of the strategies or things that you're doing in advance of Texas?
I'm just running as much as possible. I'm primarily a 10 scale guy. I run a lot of 10 scale, and that's my main gig. But obviously, I do the 8 scale stuff too. And these past few months, I've kind of after the dirt nationals, I really have been hitting the 8 scale stuff hard. There's a couple local tracks to me. Cheese City's one of them. There's a track up north in Green Bay, which is called the Yard. I've been going there almost once a week, and really just getting as much time in on the cars, even though maybe the tracks aren't going to be the same, but just getting as much time in on the cars and the equipment, and just putting in the effort.
No, that's awesome. And I think Aiden, you mentioned that you were also more of a 10 scale specialist and dipping your toes into this 8 scale world again. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing that might have been different preparing for the 10 scale worlds?
Um, yeah, I mean, whatever. Obviously, the worlds alternates. So one year it's 10 scale, the next year is 8 scale. So depending on what you're going to be racing the worlds that year is what I run more of. Last year was a 10 scale worlds year, obviously, and I didn't really run any 8 scale at all, just kind of for that reason. And this year, obviously, the 8 scale worlds is in my home country, or not your home country, but my home country. And yeah, just trying to run the cars as much as possible. It is tough to kind of make the time just because it's difficult for me to access an 8 scale track. But there is one called Tar Car down in Ohio that's not too bad of a drive.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Although there's only a few months of the year that the weather really allows for me to run there. So, um, which now those months are now. So good timing for it. Just trying to take advantage of that and get down there as much as possible. Still doing some 10 scale events. In the meantime, just because it's my job, but in between it's trying to squeeze in as much 8 scale running as possible, mainly all in Toledo. But you never know. Every once in a while, I do make the trek over to Mr. Chase Lemieux's house, and we grind it out together. I've been to Jared Wiggins' track before. That place is pretty sweet. Maybe we'll go make another visit. But yeah, just try to run as much as possible.
Well, that's cool. And, I do know Michigan does have a lot of smaller tracks from what I recall. So, yeah, getting out, Dave's track is it's actually a little bit larger than what you guys are going to be racing on. But, I know, like I said, he's going to be working quite diligently to make sure you guys have the features and the surface to help you guys prepare. So I'm going to point this question over to Cole. Cole, you've never been to Canada. What are you, besides the racing, what are you looking forward to experiencing crossing the border? All the igloos are melted, so you're not going to see those. But what are you looking for? What are you looking forward to checking out?
Honestly, I'm just looking forward to meeting a bunch of new faces, helping out a bunch of the local crowd there. I'm looking forward to also trying out some of the local cuisine there in Canada. I know you guys probably eat a little bit different food than we do down here, so that's always like kind of high on the priority list is to try to get a little taste of like the local cuisine around there, and yeah, just good times, good racing, and meet new faces and meet new connections.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, you know what, with Dave's professional side, you're going to have access to some awesome eats. I know that he's arranging to have brimstone there and some really good food lined up for you guys. So it's going to be a good time. Um, I can't help but laugh with Camden golf cart. That's awesome. So Ryan, I was a fan of your dad's back in the day, and one of the things that I've noticed from a lot of the people in this lineup is they either had parents or siblings or other people that were involved in the hobby. How important was that for you? Building up and basically getting to a point where you're now competing with some of the best in the world.
Yeah, I mean, my dad's the one who got me into racing, like super young age. And at first, I didn't really race that much, but as I got older and made friends at the track and stuff, it was just every weekend, going with buddies to the track and stuff. My dad wasn't racing as much, so it was more just kind of me out there. But for sure, like I grew up in RC, like so. Yeah, it's always been a part of my life. It's always gonna be a part of my life. And anytime I can get out and race with some of the best guys, like it's one of my favorite things to do, if not my favorite thing to do. So yeah, I'm excited.
That's awesome. Now, Jared, I think besides Chase, you're really the only one that's got a track within well, you have a track within walking distance. Isn't there one located on your own property? And do you find that having access to that track has been very beneficial? And on that, how often are you getting out there to get your car around and try different things and test different stuff?
Yeah, close by. That was a few years back. We moved. Katie and I moved in together. We moved to Texas because we wanted to be close to Thornhill and Indy and a few other places. And that was, I think, my racing career, just to have some good tracks to race on. It did also give me a lot of experience at Thornhill, which I'm real grateful for. And then when we moved back home, just missed being around home and in the Midwest. That was one of the things we looked for when we were finding houses, room to have a track. So ultimately, we ended up building one. Ultimately, we ended up building one, right here on the property, and it's super helpful. Any day or night as long as it's not raining, and it's definitely not like it's a good practice for some races like PNC or Silver State. But the conditions are always hard to replicate for a race like Thornhill. But I think the biggest thing is just driving a lot. Kind of like what Chase said. You're in tune with your car. You're turning laps. I try to go out there and do qualifying simulations, and usually try to do 1 30-minute main a week. So I think that's.
Well, I know you make a lot of us jealous, beside Dave, who also has this awesome track on his own property. And I know Chase, you're very close to trackside, I believe. So you guys have that. I'm lucky enough to be 10 minutes away from a track here, but I think it definitely helps just keeping real life. I know there's a lot of simulators and stuff out there that you can use like VRC and whatnot, but nothing like getting your cars on an actual track. So Brendan Rose, I'm going to direct this one over to you. With all the skill that's sitting at this table and all the skill that you guys compete with on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis, is there any type of talent that one of either these drivers or another pro has that you would like to let's call it steal or be able to absorb? Is there anything out there that would you find that particular driver has that you wish you had?
I would say like we can all agree on this one. Jared Wiggins, his work ethic is pretty insane. I wouldn't say I work quite as hard as Wiggins does. Like that's something I admire. When I spent a week down there before Silver State, we ran pretty much every day, all day, just nonstop. He's constantly working on his car, running to the track before nighttime to get a few more runs in. Like he's locked in 24/7. And then like Chase and Aiden running both 10 scale and 8 scale. I think that's kind of cool. I wish I could do that more. Or just yeah, I mean it's cool to be able to do both. I know driving a two-wheel drive buggy is completely different than driving a truggy. And I last time I drove a two-wheel drive buggy it was years ago, but I can barely go in a straight line, and they can do both, so it's cool.
Yeah, I don't think any of the people watching are going to believe you saying you can't drive a two-wheel drive buggy.
I mean, I can get around the track, but
Yeah.
keep up with like dudes that do it all the time. It would take me maybe a little bit to get up to speed.
Yeah, it is quite specialized, the difference between the 10th scale and the 8 scale buggies. We moved up to the 8 scale because it's we have a lot of outdoor off-road, and then indoor here locally goes more to on-road. So for us it just, besides going to RC1, we were really limited, so jumping over to 8 scale was kind of a must do if we wanted to keep racing. My son races, he's quite competitive, and I'm looking forward to seeing how well he can do against you guys. But yeah, no, it's a totally different discipline. I get it. One of the cool things about, talking and meeting some of you guys, not for the first time, but you guys and some other pros and some of the older pros, I always ask this question, and I'm curious to see what you guys, and this is almost a question for all of you. We'll start off with Chase on this one. Actually, no, we'll start with Camden because he hasn't been on yet. Camden, are there any pros that you compete against that, whether it's skill set or just personality, that you find to be intimidating? And if so, what do you do to overcome that?
I mean, I would say everyone's got an intimidating factor just in general. You know, everyone that's coming to this race are some of the best in the world. So whenever you're racing somebody and they have the talent to, go out and win any race they go to, it's always a kind of an intimidating factor. But I mean, I wouldn't say there's nothing like. I mean, I enjoy it, so there's nothing I don't see as super intimidating. But I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't know how to really answer that one. You don't want to be intimidated by anyone.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. How about you, Chase? You've been around some of the top pros locally. What have you done to get over maybe being in the same room of someone that you may at one point have admired and sort of looked up to, and then now being in a position where you're actually beating them on the track? What sort of advice would you give to some of the up and coming racers that are on or watching this or are going to be watching the recorded version of this?
When you're a kid, I mean, obviously you're going to be intimidated by the guys at the track who are out there winning, and maybe it's their job or whatever. But I mean, once you keep putting in the laps and you go and compete against those guys more and more and more, um, you build a sense of confidence, and you you learn how to go out and beat those guys and kind of take their number almost. Like
Yep.
it's yeah, it's how you look at it too. I mean now, I wouldn't say that there's a person who intimidates me more than anyone else. I mean, it's kind of how you think about it in your own head. Like, but obviously when you're younger, it's definitely a lot harder to go out there and you have your breakout weekend and you're battling Ryan Cavallari, Spencer Rivkin, and all those guys who've won the worlds, and you've watched them racing your whole life. So when you do that for the first time, it's definitely really really difficult. But the more you do it, the easier it gets, and it's more of a battle with yourself, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It does for sure. It's definitely there's some mental parts of this hobby or sport, and once you're able to overcome them, you definitely can see some advantages. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah. I
Mark,
mean, once
do
you
you get to?
oh sorry
Sorry, go ahead.
once you like build the confidence on it and know your own ability, it's all about the mental aspect at that point, really.
Cool. No, that's awesome. Mark, you've got to race against these guys on their soil, let's call it, over the years. What does it feel like now, racing on your own home soil? Do you think you're going to have a bit of an advantage, or are you? What do you think's going to come from this? I see you wrenching away, so that means you're pretty serious. Um, But yeah,
if I was wrenching on my 8-scale car, then it would be different. But I'm actually wrenching on 2. So.
So do you think you're going to have a little bit of home field advantage here?
I don't really think so. I think the biggest thing is that if the surface was gonna be the same, kind of how it is year round, then yeah, I guess the surface can give me a bit of an advantage. But the surface is gonna be pretty different. I mean, it's gonna be higher grip than what we've had there before. We've got it to the point where we've got it pretty high grip before, but with the stuff that Dave is going to be doing to make sure that it's high grip and consistently high, I don't think it'll be too big of an advantage. I think the only thing that would be advantage to me is the driver stand, the depth perception of the track, because it is pretty big. I've already kind of adjusted myself to that, but all these guys have driven on big tracks. Paris is a pretty big track. So is even most of these guys were in Spain a few years ago, and that's even bigger than ours. So I think it's not going to be too big of an issue for them to adapt to it. Maybe a pack or two, probably not even. But I'm excited. I mean, I will have obviously just having the support behind me. That'll be nice. Most of the time when I go to the States, I'm an outsider. So that part would be cool. But yeah, I think just racing with all these guys in a place that only takes me an hour to get to will be the enjoying factor that I can actually go home and sleep in my own bed and not have to stay in a bullshit hotel the entire weekend.
Okay. When you guys are all going out to, being that you compete so regularly, and you're going to different venues, what are some of the steps or some of the things that you do to prepare yourself when putting your car down on a new track, something that is, somewhere where you may not have raced before? Camden, why don't you chime in here? Is there a process that you follow in terms of prepping your car and getting it ready for somewhere that you may not have raced before? And what's the process once you arrive at the track? What do you do to acclimate yourself with the new facility?
Yeah, I'm just kind of taking a look at the facility beforehand, and then typically sometimes you get to see track pictures before, and then going out with like your first pack and just kind of not going too crazy, just figuring things out, and just run a couple packs through the cars, make sure everything's good, and then kind of figure out the layout and focus on your setup and driving lines and whatnot. So kind of just taking the first few hours at the track and making sure your program's all dialed in, and your your driving's good on the new layout. Typically at the big races we go to, there's always a new layout, so which I enjoy. I feel like for most of the pro guys, we adapt to new layouts pretty fast. So it's not a too big of a task, I would say, for us guys, but it's always good to get a couple packs in and figure it out.
Well, it's how long, normally how long does it take you to sort of get a good handle? Like, is it a number of packs? Is it a number of laps? What's that magic number that you kind of find where you're like, okay, I kind of get this, and then you can start pushing and start throwing down some lap times?
Yeah, I would say it just kind of depends on difficulty, and also there could be tracks where maybe I have it fits my driving style quite a bit better and someone else not. I would say typically 3 or 4 packs, I feel like I can get around the track pretty decent.
Cole, why don't you chime in and answer the same question? When you're coming to a new track, what are some of the steps and processes that you follow? And then how long does it usually take you to get acclimated to the track, to a point where you can start pushing and start seeing how far or how fast you can get around the circuit?
Yeah, so most of the time going to a new track, I just try to look for pictures like Camden said. I try to usually find some footage from like other races that had happened before, and just kind of get like a general base of like the grip level, track conditions, and just kind of adjust my car before going. And then showing up, it probably you can get for us, most of us. I mean, we can get a layout in for at about 1, 2 tanks maybe, and then you're kind of working on what you can do after those 2, 3 tanks. You're kind of working on what you can do better. Where can you maximize speed out of your car? And I mean, watching others go around the track. If they're going around better than you can kind of get an idea of like where their stuff goes through better than yours and kind of adjust yours to adapt to that. And yeah, I mean, I would just say probably 2 tanks of fuel, 2 5-minute runs, and we can pretty much get a new layout in our heads.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's, again, having the chance to see some of you guys that run 10 scale on a new layout and just watch you guys just within it almost feels like within 2 to 3 laps, you've got a flow, and then another couple laps, you're starting to see the pace pick up. The rest of us mortals, we're 4, 5, 6, 7 packs in before we can start pushing. So it definitely shows why you guys are part of that 1%. Brandon, that said, is there any, have you, like, when you approach a new track, do you worry about what your competitors are doing? Do you look at, hey, Cole's getting this section really good and I'm having a hard time here? Do you concentrate on them, or do you have your own program that you follow and you just sort of roll with it until everything falls into place?
I mean, it all kind of depends. It's not very often where like one guy figures out some magical line that no one else figures it out. Majority of the time, we all kind of figure out the fast line pretty quick. But sometimes someone's really fast in practice, and you kind of go out there, watch what they're doing, and you can see, oh, he's hitting it a little more inside than going wide earlier. Whenever I'm going wide earlier and hitting it inside later, and maybe you can copy their line, figure out some things, go a little faster. But I would say majority of the time you're kind of just worried about your own program, doing your own thing. Like driving line wise, you can kind of copy, but like car setup wise and that kind of stuff, you're just focused on you. Everyone drives so differently. Everyone likes their car kind of different as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And do you find now with some of the changes going over to the lay down shocks, have you ever found that you would need to use that kind of setup here in North America, or do you think that that's a specifically a European type high grip, hard packed type setup to get the most out of a high grip surface? Have you ever came across, have you had a chance to try the lower lay down shock setup at all that some of the aftermarket companies are running?
Yeah, I haven't tried it at
Up to
all,
you, Brent.
but I don't know. I don't really think it's that huge of an advantage. I mean, I've seen Ungaro put it on his car at World's warm up, go out there one run, and then take it right back off. Said it was no good. So definitely, I think
Oh
it's more of
well.
a European thing. But even over there, I think it's still like a work in progress. I don't think it's like completely magical, like gonna make you a way better driver. Like you're gonna pick up a second. I think it's still just down to those little tenths, maybe.
I think it might just be like a big high speed track thing
Yeah.
because we don't have much of that, especially Thornhill. Thornhill's not real like high speed, but like in Europe they have those tracks that are like real high speed, big sweepers, and maybe it's a difference over there, but we don't have much over here for that.
Yeah,
Small
and they
jumps
got.
too.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, they don't have very big jumps. We got huge jumps,
No.
and
Yeah.
they're the more like rally car kind of tracks almost.
Yeah, you can definitely see a difference in how they design their tracks. They're almost closer to the on-road side than the off-road, but when in talking with track design, and I know Dave mentioned that he's going to be building a very specific layout for this particular event to make sure that you guys are not only challenged but also getting some benefit from attending. And this would go. I'm going to ask this question of Jared. What's your preference? Do you prefer to have a higher speed track, or are you looking for more of a motocross, supercross style where it's quad section, 6 packs and things like that?
Yeah, yeah. Personally, a little bit more when the tracks are harder. I have a harder time uh, usually if it's a super fast paced, easy layout. That's kind of where I find myself maybe not as competitive as I'd like to be at some points. And then when the tracks are really difficult, I think that kind of suits me a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just having something challenging that's not a speedway. like Thornhill does a really good job of that, where the layouts are usually very difficult. They're not super high speed. I do enjoy racing on high speed tracks. Like, when we go to Europe, it's very hard to replicate that speed in the USA without it just being one line wide open. So I would say for our track sizes, it's a lot better to have a more difficult layout.
Aiden, do you think that being on American soil and the different track styles that North Americans tend to put down versus the tracks that you find in Europe, do you think that that's going to be an advantage for the North American racers?
We're definitely going to be better off at Thornhill than we were at Redovon. I think that those guys' tracks are pretty unique over there, and we don't really have anything quite comparable over here. So if when we go over there to Redovon or the guys in here that went over to Portugal, I'm sure. I mean, Chase was there. I'm sure he could touch on that. It's pretty difficult to adapt to. But all of us have been to Thornhill. We're pretty familiar with the track and the driver's stand and just the layout of how it goes. So that alone is going to be used to our advantage. But a lot of these guys came over for the warm up. So plus, I would say that yeah, the Thornhill race, the Worlds is going to be in the States, but I wouldn't say it's like quite as American type track as it would be if we had the Worlds at like Paris or something like that. I think that would be a bigger advantage for us. I would say that Thornhill is a pretty good middle ground because at the end of the day, it's not too much different for the European guys from what they're used to.
Okay, well, that's a fair point. It's definitely a track I'd like to come, go check out and spin some laps on. Um, So Ryan, what was the point that you came, what was the point in your racing career when you looked and you looked at your results and you looked at how you were performing that you were like, wow, you know what, I'm actually starting to get it. Was it an event that happened, like, or was it just you kind of everything clicked together and you just felt, okay, I'm part of that 1%. At what point did you recognize that you could compete with some of the top racers in the world, essentially? And from that point, what have you done to keep pushing yourself and developing?
Yeah, probably Silver State 2021. I like made the main, qualified pretty good, and then qualifying is one thing, the race is another. So race didn't go so well. I think I ruined Cole's race, and then he ruined mine. So it's just a whole learning curve that goes along with that. And then that year 2022, I kind of did all the races and was making a lot of the mains, made the Nitro Challenge and stuff. So yeah, I've got a few podiums in there, but since then, I haven't been doing all the races, but I feel like I kind of know more of what it takes. So, I feel like I'm not usually the fastest guy in the beginning, but when it comes down to the main event, like I usually get it together and can put in some good runs. So yeah, just knowing my equipment and knowing the tire program really well, I think that's kind of what makes a difference.
No, that's awesome. On the topic of tires, there's been some discussions on whether or not a world's event should become a spec tire or not. I know some manufacturers are obviously against it. They'd be less likely to send some of their top drivers if they don't have a chance to use some of that marking material from them winning. What are your guys' thoughts on a spec tire? And with that said, do you think that an event like the World should be on a spec tire? Why don't we point this one to Chase?
I think for the A scale stuff, I don't think it's quite as necessary as 10 scale. Like 10 scale, um, the tire game seems to be more crucial, and um, I think the A scale side of it, I think it's a chance for companies to show their product and put in the development to try and create the best equipment or the best tires and showcase their drivers and use it for promotion. And that's part of our job is to show the companies we run for, the products we use, and prove that it's the best out there. And yeah, I mean, I think how it is now is sufficient.
Okay. How about you, Brendan? Why don't you chime in on the same question? Do you think a spec tire would be necessary for an 8 scale event like the Worlds?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's tough to say. The companies would definitely be less likely to sponsor the event, tire manufacturers, stuff like that, because they want to win. They want to be able to say they're world champion. If you look at any RC company that has won an IFMAR title, in their logo it says IFMAR World Champions, and they want to be able to say that as much or more if there wasn't a if there was a spec tire. So, but would it make it a little more fair? I guess so, just because we would all be on the same rubber. But with 8 scale, there's so many different things that come into it. I still think the driver cream rises to the top, like spec tire or not, the best driver that day is going to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's good the way it is. I don't think there should be a spec tire. It would just add that much more drama to it as well.
Yeah, then you're going to start worrying about traction compound and all these other different voodoo steps that some of the on-road guys have to go through to get a spec tire to work. So I get it. Mark, I'm going to ask this question, and it'll follow up with the same question for Aiden. Do you guys think that the access to information and the amount of stuff that we can find on social media has helped the hobby, or do you think it's something that has it slowed down the interest in the hobby? Because at a point where social media was not so dominant, the hobby all around appeared to be a little bit bigger. Do you think that, the access to information and or some of the stuff that's discussed in social media is hurting the hobby?
Do you want me to answer first or Aiden?
No, you can go ahead, Mark.
Okay. I mean, as far as the setup stuff, I think it's really good for people. Sorry, fucking cat. I think as far as the setup stuff goes, it's pretty beneficial for some people who don't necessarily know a lot. I do know there is a lot of people who don't actually post their real setups online, but even if they don't, it's a good ballpark at least to kind of get you where you need to be. I know a lot of these guys, especially at our local track, especially during 10 scale season, they struggle a bunch with setup, and maybe some people are a little scared to kind of come up to you in person because they don't want to like bug you, whereas they can just go online and take a setup sheet from a website, or if you post it on Facebook, they can grab it. So I think as far as that is going on, as far as drama, I mean, yeah, obviously it does kind of cause up some problems. I mean, just to give an example, back um, Brock made a post a while back when he showed all the parts he was going to be running on his two wheel, and people were in the comments just bitching about, oh, why do you need all that stuff for the car? It's a lot of the stuff that we run is not necessarily like we need it for the car. It's just, it's all, I don't know how to say it. It's all just kind of parental, or how do you say it? I don't know, just some of the extra stuff that you can have hop up parts, mainly just to make your shit look good. I don't necessarily think you need it, but yeah, I mean, as far as the setup stuff, I mean, people shouldn't really complain. I don't think too much because they have access, and all of our Facebook messages are pretty open. They can message any one of us at any time. It's just more of who wants to actually take the lead and write the message or make the post. But yeah, I mean, I think as far as access, that everyone has the equal access to anything they need.
Okay. How about you, Aiden? Do you want to chime in on the same question?
Well, first of all, I don't know how much I necessarily agree with the fact that the industry is smaller now. I think that I mean, a lot of these larger events have they still pull pretty good entries. I mean, events like PNB, Silver State, DNC. I mean, we've seen like 1,000 entries at those races recently, which I mean tells me the industry is doing pretty good. I just went to a 10 scale INS that pulled 300 entries, which is pretty healthy. I mean, the Midwest races, I mean, they sell out pretty much almost every time. I think that sometimes you'll get some events that struggle a little bit, and I think that that is just a result of there's just way more events now. I think potentially the hobby seemed to be doing better back in the day just because the events were so few and far between. Nowadays we have large, like multiple large events every single month, which in reality you can't attend all of those, you know, whether you're a pro or a just a hobbyist. It's not really realistic. So it's just a lot more widespread. But overall, I think the industry is doing pretty well. Um, as far as the social media stuff goes, I guess you'd have to pinpoint exactly what part of the social media you're referring to, because I think the videos like Spencer Rivkin put out to help people with customers, or um, I mean, I do some informational how-to videos for customers that use our brand as well. I know that there's a lot of people that make videos that are informational to help somebody that's just trying to understand how to get their stuff better. I mean, I have people walk up to me frequently at events and say, "Hey, you know, the video you put out about X really helped me out with my car a lot at the club race I did." So that type of stuff I think is very good for the industry. As far as some like just promoted drama stuff, probably not ideal, but at the same time though, that's kind of what gets views on social media nowadays. I mean, everyone's basically got their head in their phone all day. I mean, Chase and I have this discussion all the time. It's like you walk around in public and people are just like this, you know, they're not even really experiencing life or the real world whatsoever. And I mean, that speaks volumes to what people give their attention on it. And if you put out the right things, you could potentially draw more eyes to what you're doing. So I don't know, from a viewership standpoint, I guess some rivalry pumped up could potentially help. But we don't need people going online and basically just being negative. So it really just depends on what you're really aiming for, I guess.
No, it's a great answer. You know what? That's an awesome viewpoint. So you mentioned a couple, a few great events. At what point do you think an event can go from something that is considered, as a high level, I don't want to say high level club race, but a high level race that draws, interest of, a couple people that are in the, in the professional ranks, to something that will attract and bring, multiple racers? Because at the end of the day, you guys, you're all racing for, obviously you're racing to win, but there's some financial aspects that are behind this as well, whether it's contingency or whether it's just representation or representing a brand, that's tied in with some, purchases on the retail level. At what point does a race like Silver State, or when did Silver State become such a monster? And Brendan and Jared, I think you two guys would probably be the best to answer this one. Do you, like, when you participate in races like Silver State, is there ever a point where it's like this thing has gotten just too big? Let's start off with Brendan.
Doesn't seem like he's there.
Brendan,
Good
are
answer,
you there?
Brandon. Good answer.
I think he may have frozen. Okay, Jared, why don't you jump in on this one?
Yeah, I mean, we see a lot of these races. I've been in it for a while, not as long as some of the people in here, but in the 8 scale scene, like, it just takes a long time for a race to get established. Look at the race time events. I started going to them fairly early on. Those were the first races I traveled to, and at the time there was maybe 4 pros that would go, and that's where I learned a lot about my racing and progressed going to them. But then there was a switch that hit. I think that 8 scale got a little bit more popular than 10 scale, especially during COVID, because a lot of the races were outdoors, and then we saw these races grow even more. But I think they just have to be around a while, and then eventually, you get enough guys to them and enough customers that the teams want us to go. Silver State, I really think, since you mentioned that one, grew when it went indoors and became a lot more accessible and enjoyable for the public, because I actually never got to go to Silver State. The first year I went was the first year in the casino, and that made that event so cool. But looking back at the other one, it's just more of a normal outdoor race in the desert. So that's their aspect, growing it to be more accessible. You don't need a rental car; you stay on site. And like the race time races again too, it's covered. There's no chance of a rain out. So a lot of these things, they all have something going for them that really help them grow.
Great answer. Um, Cole, why don't you try tackling that same question? At what point does a race start to develop and be something that, a lot of you guys put on your calendar? And at what point do the attendance at these races become too big? Um, it's I guess what I'm asking is, are some of these races past their size, or are we just in that sweet spot now where we're just, the big main events are drawing so many people?
I think they've just been around for so long that they're just becoming bucket list races for even the weekend warrior. Um, like Silver State, DNC. I mean, those things have been around since. I mean, I was a kid. I'm 32. I remember watching those races on YouTube back in like '05, '06, and they're still here. So I like I said, I think it's just they're huge because they've been around for so long, and they're just bucket list races for people like somebody that's never been to Psycho. They just got into RC car racing 2-3 years ago. They're still like probably making plans to go to that race.
Mhm.
They've just been around for so long. Like it's just like I said, it's just a bucket list race. They just want to go. I mean, all the pros go. Um, I mean, basically, they're national level races. All the race time races, Joey's races, and for those weekend warriors to go there and be able to get information from the pro guys and to see us race, and there's a lot of benefits to having them. But um, I mean, just yeah, they're huge. I mean, there's only one that's a race time event that's now being capped, which is strictly like a professional event, and that's AMS. It's not really pulling a crazy amount of entries, but it sells out because there's structure. And at this point, for pro guys, it's like we want structure because we know like when we're racing, when we're gonna be done. It's just not like a crapshoot. Like, oh, I might be racing at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like that's cool for us. Like we like structure, but those guys that are putting on those races that bring hundreds, 9, 7, 8, 900. I mean, for the pro guys, it's tough. I mean, but they'll always be there and we'll always go. But, I mean, I, I would say it would be better to extend the week, for having 7, 8, 900 entries. I mean, you've got to make the days longer, but it's hard. I mean, no, I don't think anybody will ever extend the length of their event. It's just they'll just start earlier and get done later. But yeah, just bucket list races. I mean, RC is alive and well. I like Aiden said. I mean, there's just so many events now. Like people go to all kinds of events, and a lot of them you might not see a lot because there's so many that you could go to on one weekend. And then especially this year, I think like a bunch of the bigger races have been on like holidays. So it's kind of been a bummer with that. But yeah, big races are here. Big races are here to stay, and we'll always go to them.
So Steeler, I don't know if you got any notes from that, if you wrote anything down, but what do you got planned for these guys for your race? Because I know you're putting together something that could eventually become a bucket list race for some of the North Americans.
Well, yeah, that's the goal. Hopefully, to get more of you guys coming up here and enjoying yourself. I digress to the group. Like, what do you guys want out of this surface? What do you want out of this layout? Like, I'd love to hear a round table. Like, what would be your top picks to help you prepare for Worlds? So,
Why don't we start with Cole at the bottom, and then we'll go around. So Cole, what are you looking for? What would you like? Because you basically have an open. There's an open book here, and Dave's willing to deliver a collection of what you guys are looking for.
I think the number one thing for us is structure. I mean, tell us when we're practicing, tell us when we're qualifying. Like, there's one race that's ever done this, and I've always loved going to it, and it's the Neo Buggy race. Well, now it's called something else. I forgot, Neoland or something, but it was in England. And they told you if you were racing at, 5:11 in the afternoon, you were racing at 5:11 in the afternoon. So for pro guys, it's attractive to us to have structure. That's the important thing. Have structure, have an awesome facility, you know, badass track, which I'm sure your track's bitching. So that'll be easy. But yeah, structure for us is huge. I mean, you'll get a lot of the pro guys if there's structure, for sure.
Awesome. How about you, Jared? What do you got to say? What are you looking for? What's the if this was an open book and you could basically design anything for the weekend, what would you be looking for?
Really, I mean, it's just, in all reality, there's a few races, like yours, we have the worlds, and we appreciate that. But Thornhill is a very, very unique surface. It's pretty much impossible to, but it's just it has a lot of grip. So we can run a bar time with a lot of each other. That's really what I'm looking for, somewhere to run on a high grip, and I think regardless too, like I try to race these guys as much. So if there's a race that works out that looks like it'll be fun, and you got some guys coming to race with, always in.
Yeah,
Also,
I'll definitely try and make sure you got a good Wi-Fi signal.
I'm having some phone overheat problems, so you might lose me, but I'll try to stay on.
Ryan, what are you looking for in an event that you're traveling quite a distance for? What would you like to walk away with in terms of, wow, that was awesome that they did this? What would that be?
Yeah, I mean, I've had the opportunity to uh, race in Europe, Asia, Australia, all over the U.S., all kinds of different tracks, and I think, yeah, we have some really good events. They're almost like festivals though. Like you go overseas to some of these places, and it's treated a bit, I guess, a bit more like like uh like serious racing, and I think that's what we're kind of lacking. So that comes down to like what Cole said with the structure, knowing what time you're going to run, having the surface consistent for everybody. Like a lot of these races, especially out west, the main thing we complain about is, yeah, our track is big and everything's great. There's a lot of people here, but you go out for seating practice and the group before you gets a dry track and they're doing 35-second laps, and then they water for your heat and now you're doing 37s, and it's strictly because of the watering schedule, and there's no way to really like improve on your time when it's that unfair. So I think just having a surface that's consistent, maybe bringing some more like Euro style layouts to North America. I think that if the first person to bring like an oiled track with a more wide open layout and structured schedule, they're gonna have the best event in the country, if not the world, like if it's done right. So yeah, I mean, you see it at the international races, like the American drivers, there's some work to do to catch up to these guys, and I think a lot of that is to do with how they race over there. So yeah, if we can emulate an event like that, if not make one better, I think that would be awesome.
And technical
That's great.
inspection.
Yes.
Make sure no one's fuel tank is too big.
Technical
Tech is
inspection.
definitely something important.
Yeah,
Aiden,
they don't do that here.
They don't tech tank size? They
No.
do.
Oh,
No?
just for the final at Nitro Challenge in Silver State, but that's it.
Before the race.
Before the.
Oh wow.
And then Roar does it, but their structure is.
If you don't mind me asking, like, what's the best format that you guys seen for tech inspection? Like how we can do it at Fall Classic?
If Mark. Do it like Efra does it.
I think it's cool and all, like it's important to have tech, but I also just think like unless it's a national race, I think it's very few people that ever cheat at a race, and in the pro level, like we're all figuring out if someone's going to do something like that, and it really never happens. I think most of the time tech just deters local racers because they don't really know how it works or what the rules are. I would say like I don't mind the way we have it now where there's no tech, because really like it's I haven't really seen it where someone's been eating like a race time race. Like, yeah, you could put a truck tank in there all day long, but like we would all find out and we would all have to live with that. So I think it's cool to do that, and it's definitely required at a lot of races, especially the worlds and the nationals. But if it's more of a regional large event, I think it scares off your local guys a lot having to deal with it with the unknown of how it works.
Good point. I think when we went to Vegas to Silver State, they were teching the tanks, and it was before the racing started. Now, I don't know if they tagged them or not. I come from on-road racing. Most of my time was spent in on-road, and that is the most over-teched. Like you have to have like a ridiculous amount of things to follow. And what I found refreshing with off-road is that it was a little more free to be creative with how you built your car and whatnot. But the obvious things like tank size and battery capacity or battery size. Those are easy things to detect. Aiden, what are you looking for in a race when you decide to go to a big event? And then what can Dave do, or what do you want Dave to bring to the table if you were able to basically wave the magic wand and create the perfect weekend and or track for you?
The biggest thing that comes to my mind is like the absolute thing that is the worst about going to these big races is like the free for all practice. First of all, you're standing in line forever to run your car one time, which is, I mean, that alone is horrible. And then you get up there, and I mean, guys like us, like most of the time, we're going 4 or 5 seconds a lap faster than the majority of the people on the track with us. And I mean, they're not taking us out on purpose. We're not taking them out on purpose, but it's inevitable that there's just carnage. I mean, there's people in the way all the time. And like we talk about it at Wicked Weekend or at really any race, it's just like we can't even get a clean lap in. We don't even know if we're on pace or not because there's somebody in the way every single lap. You know what I'm saying? So what the INS schedule has done for the 10 scale races, and DNC and Silver State do it as well, is they just run through the heat board X amount of times, like however many like rounds that you're able to get in with the allotted time that you have with practice. You just run through the heat board that amount of times. That way, you know when you're up, first of all, and you don't have to go stand in a line for an hour to just go get exploded off the track 7 times. So it's just like it works out really well, especially when there's not like a million heats. So like if the heat board is only like 20 races long, then I mean you're occupied in 4 or 6 of those heats, depending on if you run 2 or 3 classes. So it's like you're not really sitting around bored because you run your car, you marshal, and you want to make changes to your car. You want to have time to make those changes, and you still don't have to go sit in line. And the guys like us, we're just going to be practicing with each other, so we'll have clean track. And same with the slower guys too. Is like they don't want to be pulling over for guys either. Like everyone wants to be with people on the track that are the same speed as them, and no one likes the line. So if you guys can do like the controlled practice, like run through the heat board however many times you have time for, then I think that's one of my favorite things about the races that do that.
Structure. Or
Uh,
do block
I think
practice like Peach State.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
another
one,
thing
one
sorry?
too
more
is that
question for you, Aiden, just
you look
to
at
ask another question leading off that one. What's a good practice time? If I'm running heats and I've got a fast heat of all you guys, what's a good number for you guys to get your you know a good run in? What's a good time?
I
probably
mean,
anywhere from 5 to 6 minutes.
depending on it really depends on how many heats there are, because if we have a lot of heats, it would help to do a shorter session. That way we can get more runs. So I would say anything under than 4 minutes is too short, but I'm okay with 4 minute runs if need be to make it happen and have it be reasonable. But anywhere between 4 to 6, I would say, is acceptable. Um, Anything longer than 6, in my opinion, seems a little overdone as well.
Okay. And because we're looking at probably around 275 to 300 entries. So we'll do the math on our side and kind of make it so you get that process. That shouldn't be a hard thing for us to do.
Okay, same question. If you could wave a wand and get, the perfect race weekend planned out for you, what are you looking for?
To extend on what Aiden was saying too. Like when you have nonstop practice and you're waiting in line and stuff, um, you're always trying to get out there as many times as you can during the day. So it doesn't ever really give you a break to even just go get lunch or anything like that. So when there's no structured practice, you're just nonstop off the track or on the track, then off the track, change something real fast, go back on the track, come back off, go run your truggy. It's just nonstop, and you don't really ever get a break. With the structured practice, it's super nice because you know when you're running, you have your time in between. Oh, if you need to go get some lunch, you can get some lunch, eat, make your changes to your cars, and also everyone's getting the same amount of time on the track, which is super nice because you're not having to worry about just constantly getting out there. Um, and then also, yeah, I think layout. I love when I'm going to a track and I'm looking forward to seeing the layout, and they post a layout online and I'm like, oh, this layout looks awesome. I'm super excited to go run on it. Like this past weekend at INS, the layout was awesome. They posted it a few days before and really got me excited to go out there because the layout looked awesome. And everyone wants to go and have an enjoyable experience driving the RC car on the track. So when you have a really good layout, I think that is one of the main things in my opinion as well. Um, and then also for us pro guys, it's gotten really difficult now because there's so many races. It's not really on us to about the events we go to. It's more about the chassis sponsor we have and what they want us to go to. Like if I could go to all these races that these people are asking me to go to, I would. But the problem is it's always overlapping with this event, and oh, I have to get ready for another event here. The nationals coming up. There's so many events now that it's hard for us. And if we're nonstop running, we don't get to do our things we want to do at home, go ride our mountain bikes and do our other hobbies as well. So it's really challenging for us. Like people expect us to go to all these races, but it's more on like the chassis manufacturers. I'd say like they're the ones who are telling us, okay, you're going to go here, you're going to go there, because it's in their best interest to go to the nationals so they can promote, oh, blah, 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 just won the Roar Nationals with their X-Ray XB8 or something like that. Like that's their in their best interest, if that makes any sense.
Well, yeah, they got to get some money out of what they're paying you guys to go compete with. So I can totally get that. But you're right. I think there's just so many big events, and some of these things are such monsters that it becomes like 3 hours between your heats. Something like what Dave's putting together still can make it quite enjoyable. So we'll end off this question with you, Mark. So what are you looking for? Now Dave's made it quite clear that nobody's going to be going on the track. He's going to have his son at the trackside with a shotgun, so you guys don't have to worry about Mark sneaking in any laps. Not that he would do that anyways, but what are you looking for? You've been to so many events as well, and you know what Dave's capable of. What are you looking forward to?
Um, I think pretty similar to like what everyone said, just structure. I think the one thing that I hate, even though I love going to LCRC, is waiting in line and you're like sitting there with a pit guy. And on top of that, if you want to run nitro, you have to have a pit guy who's like willing to kind of wait there with you. It just makes practice kind of drag out. And then on top of that, like Aiden said, you never have any time to even go grab anything to eat because you're kind of just like go on the track, you hit the track for 4 or 5 minutes, you come off, and then immediately you want to go back out on the track again. Um, I think, like everyone said, just having the practice heats. I know that's something Dave and I already discussed before. Having heats, everyone knows when they're up. It's pretty consistent. Everyone's getting the same amount of track time, but also the biggest thing is that every time there's guys on the track, there's also marshals on the track. You don't have to wait for anybody. You don't have to have like volunteers to come out, anything like that. It just speeds up the whole process. Like if we can get 3 or 4 rounds of practice in, however many classes you choose to run is how much track time you're going to get. But just the structure thing, good time. I know my brother is going to do a good job with getting the timings and stuff all taken care of. I know he wants to have a written schedule of time frames and more or less when things are going to start, when things are going to finish, break times, and stuff like that. So ultimately, all I really care about is having a badass track to race on and a good program to where you can leave the weekend and say that was a sick race. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think just someone actually. Well, you know what? I don't know. We didn't get a chance to ask this question with Brendan because we lost him for a little bit. Hey, Brendan, if you were able to um, map out a perfect race weekend, what would you be looking for?
Um, I mean, everyone kind of said the practice thing, so I don't want to say that. I mean, everyone's right. The structure of practice is way more enjoyable, I think, for everyone. But I'm always a big fan of like, as far as like everyone having fun, is like little after the racing, after qualifying's over, everyone eating together, playing some cornhole, stuff like that. I think that's what really brings together the RC community and like lets the sportsman guys hang out with us pro guys. Because I mean, I know I enjoy cornhole, and all these guys enjoy having fun, hanging out, eating good food. I always enjoy when tracks have little like no, I don't want to say separate events because it's all part of the event, but like afterward get together and stuff like that. I think that's always a lot of fun and makes the event just go by. I don't want to say like smoother, but it's just more fun. And then as far as like the racing itself goes, I mean, just having structured, having everything organized, having marshal spots mapped out already, not just thrown out there randomly, having numbers and having the drivers meeting, being able to tell everyone, all right, guys, whatever your car number is the cone you're going to go marshal at. I think when tracks do that, it makes everything go quicker, smoother, getting out there at a good time. No one likes leaving the track at midnight and having to get there at 7 a.m., kind of like Mark said. And yeah, I mean, everyone kind of said it perfectly, I think.
Yeah,
No, that's awesome.
Quick.
Brandon, I'm a firm believer in hosting an event first and having a race in that event, right? So we're going to have a lot of fun. Having you guys up here pretty much for the first time in Canada is a pretty big deal for a lot of these guys up here that idolize you guys. So I want to give them all an opportunity to hang out with you. Like everything from like Friday, we're going to be doing our control practice. We're going to have some seating rounds. We're going to throw a nitro oval race in the mix and all that inside the dome. We're going to have a full meal all together after the seating. On Saturday night, we're going to have a big campfire. We're going to have live music out there. There's going to be an event here. We're going to have a lot of fun. I understand, like, guys like Chase, you're running around a lot. You're hitting a lot of tracks, and it can't all be about racing. It has to be about meeting new friends and having a good time too. So that's definitely one of the priorities for us at 400 is to make sure we got an event within events and everybody gets an opportunity. Like, I'd love to do an autograph signing session with you guys. Everybody's getting a T-shirt, and they're going to want all you guys on them, right? Especially picking their favorite drivers, if not all of you. So it's a big deal for us guys up here that watch you guys race every weekend on the TV here in the pit and see their kind of like their heroes showing up for a race. It's kind of cool. So I appreciate you guys giving me some feedback. I think we've covered all of them, but if anytime you have an idea, because I really want to deliver a pre-worlds prep track for you guys. I want you to leave here with some knowledge that's going to help you in worlds, and I'm gonna head down to worlds too. So I look forward to seeing you all down in Texas too. So excited for that. My first time going to worlds.
Dude, awesome. It's going to be
That's
fun.
exciting.
Everyone else puts on a good show.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, I want to thank you guys. We're just over an hour, and I mentioned that we try to keep this around that hour point. Thank you so much for your time, and I just, I know that a lot of the locals are super excited. Some of them that may not be able to race are actually going to be coming by on the Sunday just to see you guys compete. And I know a lot of our local fast guys are excited to be able to see you guys and learn from what you guys are doing. And my experience with each one of you that I have met already has been very positive in terms of answering questions. So if you are listening to this or watching this and you see one of these guys and they're not running up to, put their car down for their race, don't be afraid to talk to them. Don't be afraid to ask questions. There's a lot of different chassis that are going to be represented here. And even if it's not the same chassis that you're running, ask questions. That knowledge is so invaluable. We ran an event last year where I brought some of our local pros together, and we did basically like a seminar with the local racers. And I still hear praise and I hear a lot of positive things about it. And you guys all seem very approachable. So I think it's going to be an excellent weekend, not just for the competing, but I think it's going to be an excellent weekend for our local guys to see, or and girls to see what, it takes to compete at your level. So, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dave, for arranging this and getting these guys together and giving me a chance to host this thing. And look forward to seeing you guys in a few weeks. So, Dave, you got anything you want to say before we chime off?
Just thanks for thinking us up here, guys, and I really look forward to meeting you all in person, and we're gonna have a blast.
Looking
Awesome.
forward to it.
See you guys soon, man. Safe flights, and I look forward to seeing you guys all in person. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Looking
much.
forward to
Good
it, boys.
talking to you guys. Thank you.
Enjoyed it.